We might make a start.
Okay, whenever you want.
Yeah, so welcome everybody online. Welcome to Joe here face to face. It's lovely to be able to say welcome to Mohammed, who's come to talk to us about his pilgrimage, the significance of the pilgrimage to the Islamic faith. Without further ado, I'll just welcome you and yeah, please come and share with us. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Thanks, David. Let me begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land we meet on and pay my respects to elders, both past, present, and emerging. Thanks, David, and inviting me to talk to you about pilgrimage and what it means for a person to be performing Hajj. So I did my pilgrimage in 2004, and then once you've done your pilgrimage, then you can also do it for family members who have either passed away, who have not done the pilgrimage, or who are sick. So you can always do it for somebody else. But the first pilgrimage has to be yours, and then you can do it for somebody else. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of introduction into what Islam and why some of the rituals are, so you have a better understanding in what context these rituals are done. So for us in Islam, which means the word Islam in Arabic means peace, it's for us is a perfect submission to the will of God, or who in Arabic we call Allah. So it's a monotheistic religion. So as Muslims, a Muslim is one. Muslim is one who believes in God, in the one God, and who believes in the last prophet. These are two. This is our covenant. If you talk of covenant, for a Muslim, it is belief in there's one God and belief in the last prophet, who is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We believe that 124,000 prophets came down, and in the Holy Scriptures, there are 25 of them mentioned, and some of them are the key ones who received the messages and scriptures. So for us, we are governed not by modern people. We are governed by the Holy Quran, which is never been changed. It's one scripture that is in Arabic. There are many translations, and they say that still we don't have a proper translation that can really give you the exact meaning. So, and then you have the teachings of the Prophet. To support the Quran, which is our guide, is the teachings of the Prophet, which is called Hadith. And their narrations have come down since the time of the Prophet. They're always checked, make sure they're authentic. So we have two guidance. We have the 5 pillars of Islam, and then we have 6 beliefs, like oneness of God in all His angels, in all His creations, in all His books, the Day of Judgment. So those are the 6 beliefs. The 5 pillars is important because Hajj is one of those pillars. So the first one is testifying to God, which is our covenant. Every Muslim makes that covenant, and every day we make this statement. We recite the kalima, which is called the shahada. Then we are ordained to pray 5 times a day. We pray 5 times in the morning, just after dawn. Then we have the noon prayer. Then we have the midday prayer again at about in the afternoon, depending on winter and summer. And then we have the evening sunset prayer, and then we have the late prayer, which is maybe 1 hour after the sunset prayer. Then we are also asked to fast. That's why you would have heard of the month of Ramadan, where we fast the 30 days again. That is obligatory on all Muslims who are able to, and children after the age of 7. But again, there's exceptions to these rules. It's not compulsory on people who are sick. Pregnant women, breastfeeding mothers, it's not compulsory. And so there are groups of people who don't need to fast. They can do alms as well. Then we have zakat, which is a levy that on your earnings, on your savings, you pay 2.5% every year. So this 2.5% is used for charity. It goes to charity, it goes to building schools, it goes to support orphans, widows, and anyone who needs that money. So in an Islamic country, this will be collected by like a central body from the people who donate. They will work it out. It's not, no one is going to come and say, you have to pay this tax. Like that, we pay taxes, but this is our religious tax that we need to pay, and we do it every year. We calculate according to our ways. We are told by the Board of Imams will tell us how we calculate. And the last one is Hajj. Again, Hajj is a pilgrimage, but again, it's not compulsory on everyone. If you cannot afford to go on Hajj, you don't need to go on Hajj. So because you're not gone on Hajj, you're not a lesser Muslim, or you're not considered anything lesser. It might be reasons that you can't afford it, or you're not well.
Hajj is
The pilgrimage to Mecca.
Yeah.
So we, the Muslims, you would have heard, I think this became very much after September 11, the American government made a big issue of it. There are two main groups, the Sunnis and Shias. I'm a person from the Sunni faith, and majority of the Muslim world, if you take the 2 billion Muslims that are there, about 1.6, 1.7 billion will be Sunnis. So within the Sunnis, we have 4 schools of thought again, but they are main branch. For us, we believe in, after the Prophet died, we believe in democracy. So the Prophet and the people elected the Khalifa, the spiritual leaders. For the Shias, they said, no, the spiritual leadership should go to the family of the Prophet. So that's where, after the 4 caliphs, the main caliphs who were there, first was Umar and Usman and Ali, there was a breakaway saying the caliphate, the leadership, spiritual leadership should have gone to Ali. So that's why you have that breakaway, Shia and Sunni. The rest of it is all same. We both practice, we do the 5 times prayers, we do everything else, the religious order. And in the Sunnis, we really don't have clergy. We don't have what is called a ordained clergy. But in the Shias, they have their clergy. Now, Sunnis also, there can be subsections. Shias also, there can be many subsections. Like you take Iran, is one type of Shia. You take the Middle East, there are another type of Shia. You take the subcontinent, has another type of Shia groups as well. So the Shias can be very varied depending on, again, it's like the Christian faith that's gone into so many little groups. But end of the day, the main thing is the same faith. So there are 3 holy places that we, as a Muslim, are asked to visit for religious purposes. The Mecca, I've just given a picture. This is my picture. Sorry, they might not be really good. They're not. They're just my little camera from this my phone. So Mecca, that's the first top picture. So that's where the Kaaba is. Where Muslims face and direct their prayers towards, and that's where the pilgrimage takes place. Medina is the middle one, which is where the Prophet is buried. The Prophet's grave is in Medina. So it's there. Originally, that place where he's buried was his house. It seems in the ancient times, when a prophet died, they would be buried at the point where they died. They never buried them anywhere else. They buried. So his house was what was next to the mosque, and he's buried there. And the final one is Jerusalem. This was my 2017 trip to Jerusalem. That is Masjid al-Aqsa. Many people will think the Dome of the Rock, you've seen the other picture, like the hexagonal shape, that is the Dome of the Rock. There is adjacent to Al-Aqsa, but this is Al-Aqsa. This is the main one. And for Muslims, initially when Islam was started, all Muslims were facing Jerusalem. We were praying in the direction of Jerusalem. And then the revelation came down to the Prophet, and then we changed the direction to the Kaaba. Because Kaaba was the direction where Prophet Ibrahim was praying. So the Prophet wanted to get that back again, so he sought permission from God, and he was granted that. So then the change. So this is why Jerusalem is very important to the Muslims. You see a lot of unrest, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness about what's happening in Jerusalem. So just to give it in context for the Muslims, this is the 3rd holiest site. So there are 3 sites that we would go to. The rest of it is people go to various places. The Shias go to Karbala in Iraq and all those things. But these are the most important sites that a Muslim would go to. So now I'll bring the link. So you know that's the 5th principle, pillar of Islam. 5th principle. So everything of the Hajj is centered around Prophet Abraham or Ibrahim. He is referred to as a friend of God. He is one of these people who is from his time, he still believed in the monotheism and one God. His father used to build sculptures, idols, he used to build idols, so that he fought against his own father, and there's a whole lot of stories about him and how he was tested many times and he always was able to win and fight back against all what was put across to him and with the protection of God. So he's referred to as Kaliullah, which means friend of God. And so the three Abrahamic faiths are after him. This is why we are referred to as the Abrahamic faith. That is Judaism, which is the Torah, which was given to Prophet Moses or Musa. Christianity, which is called the Injil, Prophet Isa ibn Maryam. When we refer to Jesus Christ, you see in the Muslims, in the Quran, he is always referred to as Isa ibn Maryam, Isa the son of Maryam. So Lady Maryam, Lady Mary, as the Christians would call, is highly revered in Islamic in Islam, and no one will speak ill of her. We also believe in the virgin birth. There's a chapter in the Quran about her and the virgin birth and all that. So we always, when we refer to Prophet Isa or Jesus, we always say Isa ibn Maryam, which means the son of Maryam. And the final, the Quran then came, the last book is came to Prophet Muhammad. So these are the three, and this is why you hear these three Abrahamic faiths. They are intertwined, they're all coming from Abraham and the oneness of God and the single monotheism that is.
So we have
Prophet. Assalamu alayhi salam means your peace be on him. So always when we mention the name of a prophet, we will we will say peace be on him. So when we write the names as well, we will keep on writing that. So beginnings of Mecca. Why Mecca? Mecca was a desert. There was nothing in Mecca. So Prophet Abraham had two wives. You know, Lady Sarah and Lady Hagar. And Lady Hagar was the people refer to her as a slave who was there. But because Lady Sarah could not have a child, his firstborn was from Lady Hagar, Ishmael. So Ishmael is the firstborn, and Lady Sarah then subsequently had the baby, the Prophet Isaac here. So there is a story where Prophet Ibrahim took Lady Hagar, because there's lots of stories about the wife, Lady Sarah, not accepting Lady Hagar, and because this was the firstborn child as well. So he took Lady Hagar and Ishmael, who was a baby, an infant, and he took them to this deserted place, which was between two mountains called Sai and Marwa. There are two mountains and in between the mountain valley is Mecca. That was what Mecca is. So Mecca, if you go, now it's all hotels built there, but initially it was all very mountainous, a valley within a mountain. So he left the mother and baby there, and he came back to wherever he was living with Lady Sarah. And the mother had to then feed the baby, and then she ran out of water. And she's supposed to have run between these two mountains 7 times. And you'll see one of the rituals of the pilgrimage is running between Safa and Marwa. So we do that running in honor of Lady Hagar, and to show that. And when she came back on the 7th time, she ran first one to Safa, then to Marwa, then to Safa, then to so the 7th time she did that. And at the bottom of the baby's foot, there was a trickle of water that started coming out. So this is the miracle of it's referred to as the Zamzam well. There's the well of Zamzam. And this then became a real oasis, and this developed into a town and a city, because now there was a well, there's water, people started coming to stay there. And this was basically because of, and the Zamzam well is very important to the Muslims, because you know how you refer to holy water, but what we do is we believe in the miraculous properties of Zamzam, and the well has been there since that time till now, still providing water to all the pilgrims, all the Muslims. Whenever we go on pilgrimage, we will bring water from there back home as well. So it's still providing, so it's the miraculous well. So if you look at the descendants of Prophet Ibrahim, so our Prophet is from the Ishmael line. So we are from the Ishmaelites. So firstborn Prophet Ishmael, lineage of our prophet. Lady Sarah is Isaac. So Lady Maryam alayhi salam, who is the mother of Jesus, is that lineage that comes to, because we know Isa alayhi salam never had a father. He's the miraculous birth, a virgin birth that took place. So this is the two lineages between the Christians and the Muslims, the connection that is there. All comes to Abraham. So this is why the Abrahamic faith, Abrahamic religions that we believe in. So again, as I mentioned, so she ran between the two mountains. So this forms part of the rituals of the lesser known pilgrimage and the pilgrimage itself. So the Zamzam well still provides, as I said, up-to-date water to people. So the Kaaba, now what is the Kaaba? You see that black square thing?
Yeah.
It is supposed to have been first built by Adam. When Adam was sent out of the heavens, he's supposed to have come to at that point, and he built this as a replica of what was supposed to be in the heavens.
You mean the rock?
The square. That time it must have been smaller, not as what is now. Now it's a real elaborate structure, but it was so. So the name Kaaba it means cube and square. So it's a cube-shaped structure. It's a square structure, and it's tall structure as well. So it has been built many times. It has been damaged. It has been built. So before Prophet Ibrahim went there, when that was an arid area, so he was given instructions by God to rebuild the Kaaba. Prophet Ibrahim was given that. So he, with Prophet Ismail, that's his son, rebuilt the Kaaba. So what they did was they built the Kaaba, and they built it by the instructions, and Prophet Ibrahim was told to face the four corners of because it's a square-shaped thing, because it was the four corners of the world. He said he was told to give the call for prayer and invite people to come. So he's supposed to have told God, who's going to come? This is a desert, there's no one here, who's going to have? So God had told him in the revelations that you don't worry about it. The souls that have heard this will come. So can you imagine what Prophet Ibrahim built at that time where there's nobody there, and today where billions and millions of people are going there now. So that's and this structure is where when Prophet Ibrahim was building this Kaaba, his son put a stone, and the Prophet stood on the stone and was building. At this point, it's called Maqam Ibrahim. This you can see this structure. It's called Maqam Ibrahim. So it's a beautiful structure, and it's supposed to be where the footprint of the Prophet Ibrahim is supposed to be. And people go there, they just have a look at it. That's about it. It's nothing sacred or religious, but it's a significant point of where the building was started off from. So this is what the Kaaba looks like. You can see it's a four, and there's a doorway, and people circumambulate in anti-clockwise direction. So you can see that's the Maqam Ibrahim, which is closed, and you can see that's the door of the Kaaba, which is a golden door. And if you open the Kaaba inside, it's very empty. There's nothing inside. Before the Prophet's time, there was a lot of idols inside, because the Arabs also were idol worshippers. Because as the prophets went off, idol worshipping was taking place, and people were doing all sorts of things. So that's all clear. There's nothing inside. It's empty. It's for people to go and pray. And that door is this cloth is changed every year. On the first day of the new year, which will be next month, is our Islamic year start. They will change the cloth every year, and this current cloth will be cut up and distributed right around the world to all the various mosques.
The next month,
next Muharram for us. Yeah. So next month is July. So our new year starts somewhere on the 20th of next month, Islamic New Year. So some of the rituals of Hajj, some of the rituals associated with Hajj is the sacrifice. So in a dream, the Prophet was asked to sacrifice his son. This is where there's the difference between the Christian saying that he was sacrificing Isaac. For the Muslims, he was sacrificing Ismail, the son. So He's supposed to have then gone to a place a little further from Mecca called Mina, and I'll show you that's where the tent city, that's part of the pilgrimage, where people go and spend the night there. So he spent the night there with his son. He took his son, he said, I've been asked to sacrifice you. When the prophets, they said, when the prophets, those days, saw a dream, it was supposed to be a dream, sort of directions from God for them to do certain things. So the son accepted it. So he went with the son. He stayed that night there in contemplation that he was going to sacrifice his beloved son. So, and then next day he walked towards the point where he was going to have to sacrifice his son. And at 3 points there, Satan is supposed to have come to try and dissuade Abraham from sacrificing the son. He said, how can you sacrifice your son? Then he's supposed to have reached out to the son as well and said, how can you allow your father to kill you? So at these 3 points, so this is why with the Hajj, we have the rituals of stoning of the devil. There are 3 points that we do stoning of the devil. So the whole of the Hajj rituals are based on what Prophet Abraham underwent during this period. And when the Prophet then went to sacrifice his son, God sent down a ram to slaughter. So this is why during Hajj and when pilgrims go on Hajj, and we here in every part of the world, we will slaughter animals and give it to the poor. So this was a sacrifice, it's called the Qurban, which is given, like you can give it one person, like a sheep or a goat, one person. If it's a cow or a camel, 7 people get together. So there's a whole lot of various things you can work, but the sheep and the slaughter is done because God gave that alternative and gave, and this is why they say 7 things came down to the world which were never born. The ram is that one of the sheep. Then you remember Moses' famous sword the staff that turned into a snake. So, and the camel, there's a she camel, and there's so many other things that came down. So this is one of those things so it's all based on Abrahamic. So if we talk about the pilgrimage, so I've given you in context what are some of the rituals that we do. So pilgrimage can be 2 parts. So we can do what is called an Umrah, which is a lesser pilgrimage, and you can go any time of the year. And I usually go every year to Mecca. Since 2000, I've been going to Mecca to perform the lesser pilgrimage. The lesser pilgrimage is just centered around only Mecca. We don't go out into the mountains or anything. The Hajj is the main pilgrimage. That's done in the 12th month. So this is the 12th Islamic calendar. Calendar-wise, we are in the 12th month of Islam, and it's done in the first 10 days. So the Hajj pilgrimage is from the 8th day of the month to the 10th day of the month. So there's 3 days of intense religious observations that are done. So pilgrims, for males, it is important. We get into what is called males and females have to get in, but for males, we wear 2 pieces of cloth. And I'll show you a picture of me in it as well. We wear 2 pieces of cloth, unstitched. So this is to depict this is basically same as our shroud. It is life is never permanent. So this is and depicts too. For females, they make the intention. They can be in their whatever clothes they're wearing and their head covered and all that. So for females, it's normal. For males, it's 2 pieces of cloth, and that's all. And some people used to ask this question. Yes, we can't even wear underwear. So it's just 2 pieces of cloth. One a top part which covers the upper part of the body, and one to cover your waist. And then when we go to Mecca, first thing we do is called tawaf. We go around the Kaaba 7 times. You can see on TV, you've seen people going around. So that's done 7 times. Yeah, anti-clockwise. So it goes anti-clockwise. So this is me in my garb. So that's the pilgrim's garb. So I got in. This was in the Prophet's Mosque in Medina before I went to Mecca to perform pilgrimage. So I get into my garb. I make the intention to perform. So you get into a state, you do the tawaf where you go around the Kaaba 7 times, then you run between the 2 mountains, Safa and Marwa. Once you finish that, then you shave your head or you can trim your hair. So for females, they just have to cut a little bit of hair And that completes the Umrah. So that's the lesser pilgrimage. You can do any time of the year. You can do it for yourself, you can do it for your parents, you can do it for anyone, your grandparents, anyone you want. So this is me with my full head of hair, and that's me after a shaved head after performing Umrah. So this was, in Hajj I shaved it, and this was after shaving, and it grew within a week. My hair is good, I'm happy, but so this is what Mecca is. So people can see, people are walking around, lots of people in pilgrim garb. This was February when I went this year. And
only barefoot.
Barefoot, yeah, because the ground there is marble.
Yeah.
And they also, what they've done is, there is cooling water underneath. You know, like the Korea, they have water, warm water going through.
Right.
So the ground is never hot. It's cool. It's so barefoot, you can, inside the mosque, you can, it's so huge.
Yeah.
So you can walk, all this, even the outside courtyard is with that marble. And there's water running underneath to keep it cool. So this is the point where you start from. This is called where the black stone is. So people try and kiss this, you know, there's that, you can see where the silver, pure silver, and that's the black stone. So people start the circumambulating of the Kaaba from this point. So you finish one round, that's the first. So you have to do 7 of them when you to complete the tawaf. So that's part of the rituals. So this is the mosque. The mosque is huge, it's massive. It can take, they say it can take over nearly 1.5 million people inside the mosque. It's so huge. And you can see pictures of aerial views of the mosque as well. And they renovated and renovated it. And over the centuries, renovations have been done. Each king who comes in puts in a lot of money to renovate the place. So this is again another side entrance of the mosque. It's got about 15 minarets there when you go towards that. And you can see this is outside, because the inside gets filled up, so they need to have people outside. So this, you can see people going, you can see the amount of people inside as well, circumambulating the Kaaba. So this is the Safa, where the mountain Safa was. So they have still kept some of the mountain part of it. So there is, and the other end you have Marwa, which is the other part of the mountain. So people now, we walk or run between, it takes about half an hour to do the 7 times that we go between these 2 mountains. So that's part of the rock, still they've maintained it. And this is people going between the 2 mountains up and down. So the 7 times they would do that. So this is Mecca again, and this is inside the mosque. So this is a picture I took. So now we come to the Hajj, which you've heard about it, that you've seen. So Hajj starts on the 8th day of the month. So on the 8th day, all the people who are in Mecca, who are gone to perform pilgrimage, have to move to that valley, that's like a location called Mina, where the Prophet Abraham went and spent the night before he took his son to be sacrificed. So that's Mina, and you see now they're built, it's called the tent city, where every pilgrimage, so the 1.8 pilgrims are moved by buses and trains across this. It takes about half an hour to get to that point. So they get to that other valley, they'll spend the night there. And on the 9th day, they will go to the mountain of mercy, where the Prophet, it's called Mount Arafah, where the Prophet gave his last sermon. It's called Mount Arafah on the 9th day. And they'll spend the whole day there in making supplication to God and seeking God's forgiveness, seeking God's mercy, seeking God's love and all that. And at that end of that day, they will then move to a place, another valley in between, where they spend the night. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, you sleep on the ground. Everyone, so there's no difference who you are. And then the next day, the 10th day, which is the day of Hajj, everyone else in the world on the 10th day will be celebrating Hajj. We go to mosque, we pray, we do all those things. There they will pray, but then they will go to perform the stoning of the devil. So they'll do the first day, they'll stone the 3 devils the first day. The second day they'll do it for 3 days. Then they'll come back to Mecca and do again the tawaf. They go around the Kaaba again 7 times. Then, or once they've done 3 of these rituals, they can shave their head at that time and come out of the pilgrim's garb. They can get out of the pilgrim's thing. And they'll organize the sacrifice as well. The people there, you pay money, we get the sacrifice done. So these are the rituals of Hajj. So this picture was last year's Hajj. So because of COVID, they had very less people. You can see even in the main place when they were playing, they were keeping that 1.5 meters distance. and everyone in mask. But if you see the next picture, this is what this year's Hajj was. It's 1.8 million people inside this and outside the mosque as well. The mosque has 3 layers as well, so people are on those 3 layers as well around the mosque. So again, this is people, and this is the time of prayer. When we stand for prayer, like a miracle, people just form the lines. There's no one telling you form the line, form the line. Yeah. Automatically it happens. The moment the call for prayer is done, people form these lines and they do that. So, and then this is the Kaaba. You can see people before, like they were going around. And during Hajj time, you see this white cloth. When normal times, this whole thing will be black. There will be the cloth right up to the ground. When Hajj starts, the first day of Hajj, they will raise the cloth up and they'll tie a white cloth around. So what they're doing is they're giving the same pilgrim's garb to the Kaaba. So it's called the ihram, the covering of the Kaaba with the pilgrim's garb. So white cloth is used to cover around the Kaaba. So it's like making the Kaaba ready for. The Kaaba is just a stone. It's the direction for us. It's nothing else but the direction we pray. We are not praying to the Kaaba. We are praying to God, but praying in one uniform direction right across the world. So that's again, this is people performing Umrah, like not performing Tawaf. You can see they're all in pilgrim's garb. They say before they go to Mina and all that. And this is people praying outside. This is the evening prayer. You can see it's so packed. It was. And then this is the tent city in Mina. So they have built these tent cities to make life easier. The Saudi government has built this, so each one can accommodate so many people. So they will be staying there for next 4 days. So there's accommodation properly done. So the 9th day, this is the mountain where people go to this area. So Hajj is important for us to be in the valley of this mountain, or within the mountain. There's a mosque also built at the bottom. We have to be there. Others, Hajj is not complete. You can be and done everything else, but if you are not there in that area, there's no Hajj for you. So people go there, and you see, I'll show you the next slide, where that area, the valley at the mountain and all that, they now built a big mosque there. And this is a crowd during the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah. They're all there praying, and that's in that valley. So you have to be in that vicinity to seek the blessings and mercy. And then this is the mountain. So you can see the mountain, you see normally it's just stone. On that particular day, it's just covered in white, because all the pilgrims are like sitting, standing, seeking blessings as well. So, and the reason for this is important because that you can see that pillar that you see, the Prophet is supposed to have stood on the camel the last time. He did Hajj only once. When he stood on the camel, that was the year before he died. He then also gave the last sermon. And in the last sermon, I just took an excerpt of the last sermon where he spoke of there's no difference between black or white, brown or blue, or anything between Arab and non-Arab. So he speaks about that everyone is equal. There's nothing superior about being an Arab or being a non-Arab. So it was white. So this was his part of his sermon. And this is what every Muslim is supposed to be believing in. But what is practiced in various countries is, it's always like any other faith. So this is Muzdalifah, where the night after Arafah, they go and spend the night. Again, this is an open. People have to spend under the sky, looking at the stars. Everyone sleeps outside that night. And it doesn't matter whether you're rich, poor, you can be, whoever you are, you will still sleep here out in the open. So, and you can see this is people sleeping the night there. So the next morning, people will start collecting the pebbles, the stones to stone the devil. So you can see that little boy is collecting stones as well. There's an adult collecting stones in this place. They collect the stones, 7 stones, 7 for each of the devils. So they can collect the 3 days of stones, supply of stones, so they can throw. They're small pebbles, but people get carried away. You'll see pictures where in those days, people were throwing their slippers because the devil, thinking of the devil. So these are the 3 pillars. So when I went in 2003, they were just single pillars. They were not like these broadened structures that they've now made and made it much more easier. So they were just, and that was more dangerous. That's where stampede used to take place. So now they made it much better. You have 3 layers for people to go through. So this is like each one is the little devil, the bigger devil, and the biggest devil. So you can see the pillars of different sizes as well. So people throw. So this is really warding off evil. That's because that's what Prophet Abraham did to ward off. He threw stones at when the devil was trying to persuade him not to sacrifice his son. So it's a ritual based on what Ibrahim did it. And this is one of the people. Now it's like broad-based. When I went in 2003, 2004, 150 people died at this because there was stampede. Because they were not, people were going and coming in the same direction. Now they're very strict. People go in one direction, go out. So it's now, there's never been an incident, like even this year, there's not been a single incident of stampede or anything. So now they're much more better. So then the sacrifice again, in what Ishmael did, God sent a ram to be slaughtered. So all pilgrims will do that, and we also do that. And what most of us now do is we pay Human Appeal or one of these big organizations that they sacrifice in those poor countries, and the meat is distributed in those, because it's very hard to find poor people here, you know. So you give it across, and it's given to all people all over the world. So this is what after this, so everyone gets, there'll be lots of barbers there shaving with, they use that, the olden days razor, and they do, within 3 minutes they're shaving. I've been lucky every time I went, I've shaved, but I never had a cut on my head. Lots of people after this have little plasters because of the shaving. It's only done for males, it's not done for females. Females just have to cut a little of their hair at the bottom, so that's all for them. And then after that, so that they come back to Mecca, and now you can see they're in color, so it's all colors. So they're not in their pilgrim's garb anymore. They get out of the pilgrim's garb. They are now doing that. So here now they come in batches. They all don't come together at once. So this way they can come. This is very important for them to complete as well. So again, this is, you can see they're all colors compared to earlier. It's all white. Now it's all colored because now they're in their happy clothes. They finished their Hajj. They are now called Hajjajis, and so they're rejoicing. So that's again all that. So that completes Hajj. I just wanted, and then for a Muslim, once you've completed Hajj, they say you're like a newborn baby. Your sins are wiped out. If God has accepted your Hajj, you consider yourself to be like a newborn baby. So you're supposed to be leading a more spiritual life when you come back, you know, and all that. So each person to decide how they practice that. So that's, so I just wanted to show you some other pictures of other places. So this is Medina. This is another city where the Prophet's mosque is also. But this point is the place where the first mosque in Islam was built. Because where the Mecca was, it was already there. The Haram, you know, the Haram was not a mosque. It was the place where people still did their rituals before Islamic period. So that then became as the Kaaba, and that was there. But this is where the first mosque was built, and it's said that the Prophet fled from Mecca to Medina. This is where we have our new year begins with this, how the Prophet left Mecca and went to Medina, and the camel went to this point, and the first mosque was built at this site. So, in Medina, that's another city. It's about 8 hours from Mecca. This is where the Prophet then settled 8 hours. So this is called the Masjidul Quba, and for Muslims, we visit this whenever we go. Once we finish Hajj, we always go to Medina, to where the Prophet is buried. So, and we will visit this mosque, which is of importance. And you can see on the day of Hajj, so because they don't go for Hajj, so all the people here are, all that is number of people praying the Hajj prayers in the morning. And so that's all these people, so outside as well and inside, so they're praying as well. And this is the mosque where the Prophet is buried. This is huge again. It can take about 2 million people. The courtyard again, and you know, as engineers, who is an engineer, you know, you see this little open umbrella. During the night, it will close up. They're built in such a way, it's like wings of a feather, wings of a bird. So it closes up and goes into a long pole, and during the day it opens up to give shade for all the people. And there's fans underneath it that makes it cool, because I hear now the temperature is 43 degrees in summer in a desert country. So this is the prophet. So this is the entrance of the mosque. So and the prophet. So now again this has been expanded. Initially it was very small. Over the years they've expanded it because as people got. And you can see this is the behind the back of the mosque, and the green dome you see underneath that is where the prophet is buried. The prophet is buried down there. So this is the inside of the prophet's mosque. This is very ornate, beautiful structures. Saudi has enough of oil money, so they can, and people, every pilgrim gives money there. So this is where the imam who leads the prayers inside that mosque would stand as well. So you can see it's all ornate structures. The prophet's tomb is in front of this. This is the back of the prophet's tomb in front of this, and behind this door, you can see these three doors, golden doors. And when we go to Medina, we will go and stand in front of that and give greetings to the Prophet. Every single Muslim will go there, will greet the Prophet. The Prophet is buried just behind this. There's big, like a big circular thing. That's where. And next to him is buried his two companions, the closest companions who became the spiritual leaders after him. So they are buried there as well. So that's where behind that the Prophet is buried. So that's
the holiest of
yeah. So for us Muslims, it is important to be going to these three places. We go to all three places, and there is if you pray in Mecca, there's so much of blessings. If you pray in Medina, there's a certain amount, and then other one is Jerusalem. So three places we try and visit as much as possible. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mohamed. Are there any questions? Is anybody online? If you want to unmute yourself, we should be able to hear you.
I'll send the slides, you can share it.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
Thank you, Mohamed. That was very informative. Great slides as well, great pictures. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, there's a difference between the Christian Bible version of the sacrifice that Abraham made. Yeah, I was wondering how come there were two different versions of it.
Yeah, I think this is for us. We believe that it is Ishmael who was to be sacrificed, because Ishmael was the one who was, and Lady Hagar was left in that valley, and all the rituals are based on that. How the Hajj are based on the rituals of having been asked to sacrifice his son, the eldest son, because. Prophet Isaac is there, but they don't talk about in our holy books they don't talk about the sacrifices of Prophet Isaac. It's all about Ishmael, and that's where the line of descent of the prophet. Prophet is descendant from the Ishmaeli line, and I can't answer why there's this difference. It's a two faiths having the differences, but. That's where our faith, and we have been instructed and be given that this is.
Okay, thank you.
I have finally unmuted myself. I had problems before.
Did you have a question, Heather?
Oh, I've actually forgotten what I was going to ask because I was playing around with trying to unmute myself. Well, I'm sort of wanting to know when you get there, do you have trouble trying to get fed? I mean, I can't imagine how there can be that many shops and restaurants and things like that to feed you all. And the other thing is, where it is it like a desert?
Yeah. So originally, where Mecca, there's two cities, Mecca and Medina, they were all very desert plains and all that. But subsequently, there's been lots of development, lots of buildings, and the Saudi government has put in a lot of money into developing. And sorry, Pam?
No, this is Heather.
Heather, sorry, Heather, for any pilgrim, food is the least bit of worry. There's so much of food available there. There's never, anytime you want food, and also the Saudi government organizes so for the pilgrims, there's so much of food ready. There are truckloads that keep coming there to give. And also for the Saudi, the inhabitants of Mecca, for them, they feel it's a special honor to feed the pilgrims. So no pilgrim goes hungry, and there's water, plenty of water, there's no food. Food has never been an issue for any. If you ask any pilgrim who comes back, they might have put on a little more weight before they went.
Oh, it's probably the opposite.
Because there's plenty of food. And when I go even for the lesser pilgrimage, there's so many restaurants, and food is very cheap. Especially if you're going for the Western world, it's a very cheap, food is. It's not nothing. The amount we spend here for a meal, and you would have 3 meals with 1 meal here.
And when you're sleeping out in the open, are you driven nuts by mosquitoes biting you?
I never had it, because when I did my pilgrimage in 2004, because this is the Hajj, Hajj. When I went, it was winter, so it was very cold. So.
Oh yeah.
So, but even in summer, I think because of the heat, there are no mosquitoes. You know the mosquitoes come when it's the monsoonal period.
Yeah.
There's too much heat. You won't find flies. You won't find mosquitoes. But you have a lot of what you find is like the locusts. You can start to find a wave of locusts during certain seasons. But in the height of summer, because now is the height of summer, because now we're in July. Yeah. It's 43 degrees there, so it's very hot. So that's why the Saudi government has put up lots of those structures with mist. They're sort of spraying water on people, so it cools the area down as well. So it's not an issue now, but I'm sure if it's in certain periods because our Islamic calendar, it moves every year by 11 days. We are governed by we are a lunar calendar people. So every year it moves, so it can move through the whole year. Like when I went in for Hajj in 2004 and 2007, I did my Hajj first time end of January, and 2007 it was first week of January. So I did it in winter, and it was lovely because their winter is not as bad as our winter. Like it might get cool in the night, but it's still lovely compared to the desert, the wind and all that from the desert.
Is there any reason why women don't go and do the Hajj, the pilgrimage?
He's asking about the difference with women. They do the Hajj, from what I understand.
Yeah, the women will do the Hajj, and they will be with their families and all that, with their husbands and brothers and all that. And I did not show any pictures, because sometimes people don't like the pictures shown. Yeah. But they do, and they will perform all the rituals except the shaving of the head. The women don't do the shaving of the head. Every other ritual they will perform as a man would do it. There's no difference between men and women. And in the Grand Mosque, they'll be sometimes during Hajj time, they could be playing side by side or at the back of their relatives. So, and usually, because there's such a big crowd, the males of the family can protect them, sort of, keep them all together, because you can easily get lost in that crowd, and to find each other again. You can find each other because each one of us, when we go for Hajj, they give you a band. So you have a band. On that band is all your information. So which tent you will be in, which area you're from, who the government leader who's responsible for your group, and all that is being done. So that's all on you. So you are wearing an identification. So if you get lost, because many people will not be talking Arabic, can't speak Arabic. I can't speak Arabic as well. So it is there will be people to support you. So in that wristband, it's easy for them to trace which group you belong to.
But this is for Sunnis, like
Sunni and Shia, Shia, everyone. The Hajj is everyone, every Muslim, irrespective of Shia, and there'll be lots of Shias as well here. And during Hajj, we all come together. They pray according to the Sunni, because the Saudi is Sunni, so everyone prays the Sunni way. In Mecca and Medina, they all pray the Sunni way. They don't pray differently. That's why sometimes the Western world makes a bigger issue of this than like if you were to meet a Muslim, you would ask the person, are you a Muslim? You don't ask them whether are you Shia or Sunni, because it's, I've been asked this question sometimes, people do ask here. It's because the media and what, after 9/11 and all that, the Shia Sunni thing became a bigger, like you talk to many Iraqis during that, and they said, it really didn't matter whether you're Shia or Sunni, you married into a Shia family, you married into a Sunni family, and they were living, end of the day, because the religion is all the same, there's no difference. The Quran is the same, the scripture is the same, everything else is the same, only that they have some clergy for them to follow.
I'm curious about the walking around the Kaaba, was it? Anti-clockwise. In Swedenborg's writings, he says that it's important which way a person turns spiritually. So I was wondering where they got that instruction to turn that particular way.
So if you look at the Kaaba, the structure, as I showed, there's the black stone, the black stone. So when you are, each time when you start the tawaf, when you're starting circumambulating, what you are doing is you're standing up, putting your hand up. You can see me, right? You're putting your hand up, and then say you're glorifying God, and you're facing the black stone and the Kaaba. See, so you can see how you're going. So if you're doing this way, So you're doing this way, and so you're moving. So you're always facing the Kaaba when you're going anti-clockwise. And for the males, we keep our right shoulder bare when we are doing the first 3 tawafs to show. This was the Prophet instructed us to do these things, so we follow that ritual, because before the Prophet's time, I hear the various pagan rites, because they had a lot of gods and goddesses and all inside there, and people would be dancing naked and all around the Kaaba, and all. They were doing all sorts of things and worshipping all sorts of idols, and also this was purity, and you're in this garb. For males, you're all equal. It doesn't matter whether you're king, pauper. When you're doing if you're doing your Umrah or Hajj, you're doing the pilgrimage. If you're not doing your pilgrimage, then you can be in your clothes and you can do the tawaf. But still, each time when you come to the point, you raise your right hand and make the salutation to God, and then you walk on.
So when you are in, there's no personal handcuffs or rings?
No, nothing. So we might just have a bag, some carrying our wallets and all that, our passports and all. So you can carry just the thing, but the cloth that is touching your body is 2 pieces of cloth, because this is the same cloth that we would use for males for our shroud. So it's a reminder for us of life is never permanent here. So it's also a reminder that 2 pieces of cloth, right? And if you were to die when you're in that state of ihram, when you're in their garb, they will not change your cloth. They will wrap you in that and bury you with that. That's because your shroud is your.
I was actually going to say, with that amount of people, surely there will be.
Oh, there's many people die every year. People go there. People go there hoping to die.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was going to say,
That's why when you go for Hajj, those days, because it was so tedious, it takes months. It's not like today, you can go within a day and get to Mecca. Those days took months by river and boat. People before they went to Hajj will finish all their, settle all their, if they owe people, they'll settle everything. And one of the key things for every Muslim before he goes on Hajj, and which we still do, Hajj, is we reach out to every person we know, seek forgiveness from them if we have harmed them or said anything. So we go with clear consciousness. So we have settled everything. We have done all our wills. We have done everything with the intention of never coming back. Because for us to be buried in that holy land is it's a bonus. Whether it be in Mecca or Medina, both cemeteries, it's a bonus. And if you die there, I did show there are pictures where they bring the shrouded bodies before burial, and this million people will pray the funeral prayer on you.
Yeah.
It's like What more can you ask?
So there is an actual burial of the body. There is no cremation.
No cremation.
that's seldom.
So it's like the Jews. I think there are three of us who don't cremate: the Muslims, the Jews, and the Baha'i.
Yeah.
Baha'i faith as well. All three don't cremate because we have to bury in full, and we bury with the shroud, only with the shroud.
I didn't do like the cremation.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yes, I'd just like to ask, where exactly is the is Mecca in the whole world?
It's in Saudi Arabia.
Right. If it's in Saudi Arabia and they make that there, that was years ago. When that happened, like from about, I think Muhammad lived about 600 AD. Now, what
1,500 years ago.
Yes. Now, what about now? Then there would have been just the followers of Muhammad then in Saudi Arabia, but now they're all over the world. Couldn't Muslims and the Islamic people go to somewhere in their own country?
One was spread, and the others are spread. So I think they both spread. The missionaries got all over the place.
Yes.
And spread their way.
We all, from all over the world,
Yeah, sorry.
from all over the world, we face the Kaaba, our Qibla. We call it the Qibla. The direction of prayer is the Kaaba. What the Prophet, this is ordained by God, so no human can change any of these rituals. So this is ordained by God, and our Prophet then instructed all the people to face. Initially, we were facing Jerusalem, which was the former Qibla. That's why Masjid al-Aqsa, Jerusalem, is so sacred for the Muslim world, because that was our first Qibla. And then the message came from God that now you pray direction is to the Kaaba. So every Muslim from any corner of the world, that's what we say, 24 hours, somebody is facing the Qibla, because you take the time difference, or everyone is facing the Qibla. And the Kaaba is sacred because that was built by Prophet Abraham, and this is a replica. It was from Adam downwards, and the Prophet then finished it all. And our Prophet is also buried in Medina, which is another sacred city. So all the sacred cities of Islam are in Saudi Arabia. That's why a Muslim will only travel to three places, holy places: Mecca, Medina, and third is Jerusalem. The first is Mecca, then Medina, and Jerusalem. So it doesn't matter whether you're black, blue, brown, whatever you are, wherever you are in the world, you come to this point and everywhere.
Makes sense.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm wanting to know, is the number 7 important in Islam? Because you said that you circle around 7 times, and 7 is quite important in Christianity. I'm just wondering if it's important in the Islamic world.
There's no importance in any number. Every number can be the same. But we have been asked to do, these are instructions from the Prophet. So as I said, we are governed by the Holy Scripture, and then we are governed by the teachings of the Prophet. So all instructions, how we pray, everything came down. The Prophet instructed us. He's got a message from God through Angel Jibril, or Gabriel, as Christians would call. So all instructions were given to, and the Prophet then conveyed it to the people, and we follow those. So we don't have any particular number that is sacred to us. Any number, it's like for a Muslim, basically every day is sacred.
Mm-hmm.
You thank God that you are alive.
Yeah.
Be able to do good.
Yeah. This isn't a question. I just want to sort of thank you, because I know that you've got some citations for all your community work, and people have recognised that. And I think it's just so important that anyone that comes to Australia from another country, that they help out in the community, and you've done that. And I just thank you for it.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll add my thanks to
Yeah.
everybody for coming and to Mohamed to come and
Thank
talk
you.
to us today. It's really fascinating to hear. You know, I knew a little bit about all of this, but it's nice to hear that, you know, the real significance of it. So thank you very much.
Thanks,
for your
David. Thank you
time.
for giving the opportunity to share this.
So I wish you all good night and
Thank you.
see you again. Oh, I will say next month we have a gentleman who's coming to talk to us about the work of Gurdjieff. So that will be in July. You'll get information as usual.